It's really good. Hang on again. Be pretty funny.
Hey everyone, Chris Lopez here. I've got Jeremy Lambert, he's in the plaid, and I've got Preston Newberry here in the center. So Jeremy and I asked Preston to come on to the show today to talk about his experience as being a real estate agent. So you've been, what I think you said next July, so in a month will be the 2-year mark, right, Preston?
Yep, I started July 1st almost 2 years ago.
Sorry, sit a little closer.
I started July 1st almost 2 years ago.
Okay, so we're at 2018 now. So let's just, jumping into it, Preston, without getting to all the background yet, just why did you become a real estate agent?
I came from an automotive background and I wanted something that gave me a little bit more freedom. And I really was a people person. I enjoyed that networking aspect and a lot of things about the real estate world. So it was kind of something that I'd done a lot of research about and something that I wanted to really get involved with. And I finally took the jump, thanks to Jeremy over here, kind of pushing me to make it a full-time thing. And I'm really glad that I did.
So did you start out as a part-time agent while you're doing other stuff, or kind of what was
that was originally my plan? Was that I was going to start out as a part-time agent, kind of keep my 9-to-5 job and work into it. But Jeremy convinced me otherwise and said, hey, if you're going to do this, jump into it full time and just make it happen.
I am very wise.
You are wise. Wise beyond your years, Jeremy.
It seemed to work out pretty well for you, right?
It's been fantastic.
So he walks into your office, you guys connect. Just what was your perspective? And you obviously saw something in Preston. So
yeah, well, I spent the first couple of minutes trying to talk guys out of getting into real estate. You know
why?
The failure rate's so high, right? And then hit them with the negative so it wakes them up a little bit, and then really talk about what it takes to be successful. And we spent about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
We actually talked for a long time.
And so it worked out really well. Preston has all the tools. Obviously came in with a network. He's got the skill set. But more than anything, he had the attitude. And that's one of the ththings that got me. And so
what type of attitude do you look for?
Man, aggressive, driven, goals, things he was doing in his personal life. The guy's 2-handicap golfer?
Yep, 2-handicap golfer. Whenever there's something out there that I want, it's something that I'm going to go out and make happen. So
normally somebody, that's ability, but that's also effort, right? That's drive, and so that transfers. That skill set transfers.
Why 2-handicap is impressive.
Yeah. Why do you think you see so many professional athletes when they are college athletes, when they leave, they go into sales in one sort, whether it's mortgage, whether it's real estate, whether it's insurance, right? They don't want
a useless degree.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I know.
They can't read.
Seriously, I know what you mean, though. They've got that just aggressive attitude. But you were living in California for a while, right? I'm trying to remember because I connected a while ago, and
I lived in California for a long time. I had a business out there. I come from an automotive background, like I said, and I had a racing team out there. And through some changes in my own personal life, I decided to move back here to Colorado, where I was from, and be closer to family. And that's kind of when I really started looking heavy into real estate and what I was going to do kind of at the next stage of my career. So
you came back to Colorado. You already had a network from living here previously?
I did have a network from living here previously, yeah. So that was a huge help to me.
Okay, so what were your expectations of being an agent? So, before you signed with your castle, you had expectations of, hey, this is what an agent will be like. And then what was reality like a year into?
I did a lot of research. I did a lot of planning to make sure that I was going to get started on the right steps. And one of the big things I did was I interviewed probably 15 or 20 different brokerages here in town.
Really?
I did. Yeah. I went to everybody.
So you actually did what everyone says to do.
I did what everyone says to do. And that's because, after everything you read online, which of course we all know that's always true.
Of course.
That was one of the big things. I didn't want to sacrifice what I was doing with a brokerage that wasn't going to fit me. And when I walked into Jeremy's office and we sat down and talked for a long time, I knew this was going to be the place that was going to fit with me and give me the best chance to succeed.
So were you more like, I'm sorry, I got a question. Were you just looking at straight the best commission split, or what were your rough criteria for I like this company versus not this company?
To me, that was actually one of the things that was kind of further down the list. That if I was going to join a brokerage, it was going to fit with me. I wanted somewhere that was going to have good training, good people. I wanted a place that was a little bit smaller and more nimble, and a place that kind of made it feel at home. Some of the bigger brokerage that I interviewed with, you just didn't get that warm and fuzzy feeling.
You're talking about the big national guys?
Yeah, the big national guys.
Okay. And what was their just general describe that feeling? You walk in there and like just.
I mean, you could just tell you were walking into kind of a corporate machine, and they had their programs and their things in place. But I didn't feel like the training was going to be as hands-on as what I was going to get here at Your Castle. They offer a lot of different programs for new agents. Everybody's really involved. I loved the fact that they had 5 managing brokers here, and you basically had help anytime you needed it, as opposed to having one person that you were kind of working under or could go to for advice or help.
Okay. And go back, about 2 years now. So you obviously did your research, you had your plan. What was your rough, I'll say, business plan for going forward? So
for me, I knew that it was going to take a little while to get that first deal done, and I was prepared for that. I knew, the first 6 months were probably going to be the toughest, but I, in my mind, was ready for that. And I kind of set myself up to make sure that I got the training and the education and kind of built up my business from the ground up, rather than just, going out there and expecting my first deal to happen within the first 2 months and then getting frustrated. And that was something that Jeremy was really adamant about.
Yeah, and if I remember right, you had prepared yourself financially as well. Right?
Yeah, I knew it was a big risk, and it was something I didn't want to have the financial side be something that was going to hold me back or cause me to kind of feel like I was under a lot of pressure in that way. I knew that wasn't going to come off good for my clients or for my business.
What was your first year goals?
My first year goals were to do 15 deals. And that was something, that I felt was pretty strong, but I knew that if I went out and just put my head down and made it happen, that it was something I could do.
And how'd you end up first year?
I actually ended up doing 14 deals.
You loser.
I know. Yeah. I failed miserably.
So you did 14 from day one to your.
Yep.
Like that.
12
wow,
yeah, 12 months. Yeah, my first 12 months, I did 14 deals.
Well, and to put that in perspective, the average agent in Denver does roughly 3.8 deals, 4 deals a year.
And that's
everyone.
Not just new people. That's
everyone.
That's everyone.
So I think you crushed it, man.
What's the average for new agents? Do you know?
I don't know.
-2 or something?
I don't know. It's so bad. I'm afraid to look it up.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
So, why did you get 14 deals and beat the 9 out of 10 stats of new agents say? What was different for you?
The biggest thing for me, and it's something that Jeremy tells all of the new agents, is you got to make your phone calls. It is literally all about just getting out there and talking to people. And it doesn't always have to be about real estate. It's just a matter of them knowing you're around and what's going on and that you're involved, and making those conversations happen.
So, rough numbers, how many hours a day did you spend calling? What were your did you have daily, weekly connect goals?
Yeah, I had a daily connect goal of about 10.
And that was 10 phone calls or 10 what?
Just 10 touches. So whether that was, sending a message on Facebook, making a phone call, a text message, just any way to reach out and communicate with people. Obviously I didn't always reach those goals, but I knew that if I was going to, really make things happen, I needed to get out and touch people.
What's really crazy, Chris, is in any other industry of the real estate, if you were a sales professional and you went to your sales manager and said, man, I made 10 contacts today, you'd probably get fired.
Yeah.
But in real estate, you can make 6 figures.
Really?
Right?
Even if that's...
Think about it. If you're in a relationship with a couple hundred people and you touch 10 a day, that's 40 a week if you work 5 days, right? That's a lot of touches. It adds up over time. Those relationships get built. And especially when you're consistent about it. And that was the big thing that I noticed is, you have to be able to be consistent about it and make sure that you're reaching out to these people, once a month, once every 2 months, just make sure that they know you're around.
And what was your typical, thing hey, Preston, this is Chris. You ready to buy or sell yet?
Absolutely not. For me, it was just
don't ever do that.
Yeah, don't ever do that.
Really?
Bad news.
No, for me, it was just about, picking up the phone or reaching out to people. Hey, haven't talked to you in a while. This is kind of what's going on in my life. What's going on with you? Short, 2-3 minute phone calls and on to the next one.
How did you handle a situation being new and getting production pretty fast? How did you handle situations where you weren't prepared to answer the question? Somebody asked you a market question or they want an advanced real estate investing question. What was your next steps then?
For me, the next steps were to reach out to the team here at Your Castle. And that was the wonderful thing that I really enjoyed here was that everyone was so knowledgeable. And anytime I had a question, if I didn't know an answer, it was pick up a phone, send a quick email, and I would, have an answer right away.
So if a client or potential client asked you something and you didn't know the answer, what would you say?
For me, it's kind of a conversation of, I don't have that information right now, but give me a little while and I'll get right back to you. It's never, I don't know, or, I'm not sure, but let me find out.
Because I know something, I did this, before real estate, I did other sales and I fell into the initial trap where I would just start blabbing away before I would just, hey, someone asked a question, I don't know, just filled up with space. And then you find yourself just making up BS.
Yeah. And you're just treading water. Yeah. And then you don't know what you said.
Yeah.
And that's the first thing, I always knew to know what I didn't know. And if I didn't know that question or the answer to that question, then I would definitely reach out and say, hey, I'm not quite sure, but let me get that information and I'll get back to you.
How many hours of classroom training you think you logged first year?
I would say within the first 2 months, probably 20 hours a week, to be honest with you. But one of the best things and best pieces of advice I ever got was actually from Carrie Sanger, one of our managing brokers. And that was to just get out and do real estate. Right. Don't spend so much time in the classroom. Obviously I knew there were some foundational things that I needed to get, underneath me before I could go out and make that first deal happen. But once I felt comfortable with that, it was literally just about getting out and making real estate happen. And if I didn't know, answers to questions, I would figure it out and just, do that.
Well, looking back, because your castle has a ton of classes, and there's always see classes from other brokerages and title companies all over the city. Like, what were some worthwhile classes to you as a new agent, if you can even remember? Like, ones that stand out versus like, okay, you just kind of sit there and go through the motions.
The contracts classes were big for me just because I know that's such a big part of our industry and wanting to understand and know exactly what's in our real estate contracts here because there's so many nuances there. Also through your castle, we have our Running Start program, which Eric Romero teaches here, and that was fantastic. And after that, the big one for me was the Ninja program. The Ninja program is something that really hit home to me and something that I really thought was big for my business.
What about it hit? I haven't read Ninja. I've got a very general gist, but give a 30-second rundown about it and like, why did it,
it resonated with me because it wasn't about selling real estate. It was about connecting with a client and, making them feel comfortable and kind of putting them in the driver's seat and not something that was really pushy.
Yeah. And shameless plug, if you're interested in Ninja selling, reach out to me and we can get you set up in the fall. It's an incredible class.
So it's something you teach a couple times a year?
We do.
I have no clue about it.
You're one of the few brokerages in the country that have a certified Ninja coach in-house. And so we teach that about 4 times a year. We cover the cost. It's an incredible program.
Okay. And then, so you're almost 2 years in right now. If knowing what you know now, Preston, if you could go back in time and talk to your, newbie self 23 months ago, what advice would you pass on to yourself?
I think the biggest thing that I would say is I still need to make more phone calls. It's something that, we can harp on it as much as we want, but, just getting out there. I know sometimes I fall behind and sometimes I get a little bit lazy, but you got to get out. You got to make those phone calls. It's really that simple.
And is your goal still 10 connects a day, or has it changed as you've progressed and gotten better and learned more?
It's still 10 calls or 10 touches a day because that's something that's comfortable for me and something that I know is going to work. Obviously, as my network grows and my sphere grows, I think that will grow a little bit. But being able to set aside the time to, do 10 phone calls, 10 text messages a day, and still work on the rest of my business, I think that's something that's pretty comfortable for me.
Excellent, man.
Yeah.
And then, how big, I know it's a very hard thing, but like, how big was your network? Just real approximately. You moved back from California to Colorado,
whenever I started, and whenever I kind of sat down and went through my database, I had about 225 people, that I had contact information with, and they were kind of in my network. I would say about 50 of those were probably pretty close in my, sphere of influence. And the rest of them were, contacts, acquaintances, people I knew. And I've grown that now to probably around 300, 350.
How have you grown it? Just like, what have you done?
I'm not a big open house guy, so that's not something I've done. I'm really involved in some things outside of real estate that have allowed me to grow that network. One of them being motorsports.
I do. Every time I'm on Instagram, you're flying somewhere to do some type of racing. Like, you're out a few weekends a month.
I'm out. Yeah. Usually about 2 weekends a month. I kind of call it my National Guard duty. And, it's something that, I really enjoy. It's a passion that I have. And through that, I've been able to help bring that into my real estate, business as well.
So, are you out there like throwing business cards or just making friends and networking?
Yeah, just making friends and networking. And obviously as I meet people, I make sure and pass out my contact information and stay in touch with them. And it's really allowed me to grow that network into really solid contacts.
Now, I know, you and I have talked on and off. I remember one of the things we talked about a lot was like different contact managers. I know you were seeking some out. You tried different things. So like, what have you tried and what are you using and are you happy with it?
I've tried a lot of different ones. So I've gone through the Buffini Referral Maker. I've done Top Producer, Contactually. I mean, pretty much everything that's out there. I kind of landed on Podio, which is what I'm using now. It's a little bit more difficult to set up. It's something that takes a little bit of time on the back end, but I've been really, really happy with it because it's so customizable.
Is it? I mean, because I know Top Producer, I know that's a real estate specific system. Podio is just a generic.
It is a generic, and they've got some templates out there that are geared towards real estate, and I've used a couple of those to kind of form what I'm using now. But that's a nice thing after going through all the different systems that are out there, kind of figuring out what I liked, what worked for me, what I didn't like. It really allowed me to customize that to what works for my business.
And is Podio, I think, could be like a good long-term solution for, or are you still like hunting for?
No, I think that's going to be something that I'll use for a long time.
Cool. So, I mean, what would you tell other people out there? Because I hear this all the time from agents, like using CRMs. And I mean, I'm very familiar with the CRM industry. Like, what advice do you give people for picking one out?
Whatever one you're actually going to use. I mean, that's the biggest thing.
Tom Ferry says, right?
Yeah,
what a
right?
good answer.
I mean, if you're not going to use it, it doesn't matter which one you have. If that ends up being an Excel spreadsheet and that's what works best for you, then take it and run with it. If you go through some of these other programs and you find one you like, just make sure you stick to it and use it. Otherwise, you're going to fall behind and you're not going to be making your contacts every day.
Go ahead.
It's amazing how many agents I meet with. I said, what's the number one trouble you're having in your business? They go, well, I got to find a CRM. I'm like, you've been in the business 6 years. Like, come on, get with it.
Yeah.
Put it to bed, move on. Right. It's incredible.
So what does Podio cost a month?
Podio's free. And that's the thing I like best about it. Yeah.
And there's no, like, once you get up to a certain number of contacts, they start charging. It's just,
as far as I know, it's free. I mean, I haven't hit any contact limits. Yeah. And that's the thing I like. That's fantastic about it. Wow. And it integrates with a lot of other different products and different things that you can do. And obviously that kind of starts to cost money as you build in stuff like that. But as far as the base program, it's free.
So what other tools do you use out there? Because I mean, you're on Facebook, you get an ad every third news feed about something geared towards agents. Like, what are the tools that you use, whether it's a digital tool or a subscription service? Like, what do you use?
The only other one that I use right now is Cloud CMA. So between Podio and Cloud CMA, those are pretty much the things that I run my business with.
Okay. And what does Cloud CMA do? Just what's the rundown on that?
So Cloud CMA is a program that allows you to do fast and easy CMAs for your clients. So when I'm out meeting with people or I'm on the road and I come across somebody who may be interested in selling their property, especially, it connects directly with our MLS service here in Denver. So I can turn out a really nice, good looking, product for my clients in minutes.
And can you do it on your iPhone, or is it like a laptop?
It's on the laptop. Okay. You can do it from your phone. And the other nice thing is it's tablet friendly. Okay. So I've got an iPad that I use most of the time and it pulls it right up and I can go through it with my clients right there on the spot.
Awesome.
So what advice do you have for other agents out there that are looking to get their business off the ground? I'll say a newer agent, like what advice do you have for them?
I think the best thing that I can tell new agents is to find a brokerage that's going to have the support and the training that is going to help you get your business off the ground. But the biggest thing you need to know is to just get out there and make it happen. You can always find answers to questions. You can always figure it out. But if you're just stuck in the classroom all the time or you're sitting at home, not out there doing what you need to do, you're not going to go anywhere.
And so for the 14 deals that you did your first year, because your castle does a lot of investing stuff. Was it investor stuff, primary?
Half and half. Okay. Yeah, about half of them were investor deals. I was lucky enough to get hooked up with a couple investor clients right out of the gate. So that really helped my business get off the ground quickly. And after that, it was about half and half as far as, regular residential deals and what I did with investor clients.
And tell everyone out there, like, what's the difference between working with an investor client versus an owner-occupied client? Like, what's the biggest differences?
So the nice thing about working with investor clients is it's basically all a numbers game. They're looking for certain things that are going to fit their portfolio, as far as rents and price and all those kind of things. And so it's a lot more work as far as looking at properties, but you know what they're after. And if it fits these certain criteria that they're probably going to make an offer and they're going to make something work. And
I know this is hard to say, but Denver's hot. It's competitive.
It is.
It's hard to be on the buy side. Like, what's your average? I mean, how for the investors, like how many offers you have a property, just rough numbers. Like what's
I would say typically most of my investors are putting in 3 or 4 offers on different properties. Obviously it's super competitive, so we don't always get everything, but we try real hard.
And let's see here. I've been jumping around my questions here. What do you like most about being a real estate agent?
I like the interaction with people. That's something that's always been a part of me. I really like being able to just get out and network, be around people, go to fun events, and just kind of be myself, not being stuck behind a desk all the time and having to worry about that. It's something you get a little bit of freedom, but you also kind of make your own reality. So
yeah, you're a CEO.
Exactly.
You run your own business, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so what's your, I know every day is different, but just on a, say, 7 days a week, what's your average days look like throughout the week?
So typically I spend my mornings up until around 11 or noon kind of working on my business. And that's the time that I reach out to clients, kind of make my contacts, try to get in touch with people, set up meetings, coffees, lunches, all that kind of stuff. And then in the afternoons is when I, get out, I go visit clients, whether I'm dropping by to say hello, drop something off, different pop by objects. And then, I'll spend a little bit of time. I try to drop by the drop-in space here at the offices once or twice a week, just to kind of show my face. And that's also whenever I'll, print out my MLS stuff or do anything I need to do as far as working in my business.
So mornings you're usually working from your home office.
Correct.
Paperwork, some phone calls, some.
Yep. All the admin kind of stuff. Okay. Yep.
And then how do you go about planning your week? I'm always fascinated in how people plan their week, because that's something I'm always trying to make better myself. Do you plan your week? Do you say, hey, these hours, Monday through Friday, I'm doing this, and then plan out Tuesday afternoon I'm at this event, Wednesday I'm grabbing a beer with this buddy, Thursday I'm playing golf with these guys? How do you plan things out?
Yeah. So one thing that I definitely do need to get better about is kind of blocking out some of my time in a little bit more detail. Like I said, I know my mornings are going to be, used for this stuff. My afternoons are for this. I try not to schedule anything, major in the mornings, if I can get around it, whether that's coffee or breakfast, stuff like that. I try and kind of keep everything to the afternoons.
Yep.
That way I know in the mornings I'm spending my time doing what I need to do, working on the admin side. And then I can kind of have my afternoons free to kind of schedule what I need to as far as that goes.
And what do you use for planning? Are you just Google Calendar?
Yep, just my Google Calendar. Okay. I've got 3 different Google Calendars that I use kind of depending on what kind of event that is and what's going on.
And do you use any type of what's the word? A tracking system, keep track of your 10 touches a day to keep your
I just use color-coded system in my calendar. And so what I'll do is obviously through my CRM, through Podio, I'll log all my contacts through there. But I will put time in my calendar in the mornings, hey, from, 9 to 10 is when I'm going to make my phone calls. And then that way, everything else around that before noon or before I hit the road is used for other stuff.
I like that. You do it first thing morning because it's very easy to let
your day can kind of, your day can kind of run away. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, it's the hardest thing you're going to do all day.
Yeah. So get it out of the way fast.
So, Jeremy, from your perspective, you've probably talked to thousands of agents as you've been a recruiter. What traits does Preston have, or did you see him when he walked in that a lot of agents don't have that might be a difference maker as far as he's successful, other people they're doing something else now?
For me, it always goes back to work ethic and attitude.
Okay,
right, and also a track record. If somebody comes in and they have the resume and they've had 14 jobs in 7 years. The reality is this isn't just going to be the magical place, right? Yeah. If you've never been good at anything, this isn't just going to pop in.
You got to put the work in.
Right. It's work ethic, attitude. It's being adaptable. It's being able to leverage technology. It's being fearless. It's being not afraid to call.
And you got to love what you do. That's the other thing. I really enjoy my job, and that's what allows me to really get into it and not feel like it's a job all the time. It's just kind of, what I do every day.
If we look at the top producers, and you're one of them, right? What I'm looking for is, do you have a written business plan? Do you have goals established? Do you know how to time block? Do you understand accountability? But it all comes down to waking up every morning, getting your ass up and going to work.
Yeah. And knowing what you need to do that day. And for me, a lot of that comes, I always plan my day the night before. I usually take an hour at night just to kind of go through everything, plan some stuff, write it down. I've got a journal just so I know what I've got to do the next day. And it really helps keep me on track.
And just kind of ask you a couple of questions as we wrap up here. What book are you currently reading or listening to?
So I'm actually currently reading Gary Vee's second book. I'm about halfway through it right now, called Crushing It.
That's the yellow one.
Yeah, right? That's the yellow one. And so far it's awesome. Yeah.
So what's your takeaway from that book?
Basically, for me, it's all about just getting out and doing it. You gotta get out there. You gotta make it happen. You can't be afraid to fail. And that's one of the big things that he talks about is just getting out and making it happen.
And as far as your business plan this year, we all have opportunities. We see what's the thing that you're focused on most this year to grow your business? Whether it's marketing, it's anything. Just what's your big thing this year?
The big thing for me, and especially the second half of this year, is the marketing side of things. I really want to work on the social media, the internet marketing, kind of getting my name out there a little bit more, and starting to grow my contact base via that.
Are you planning on doing like ads or content? Like, what's the rough plan there?
Big thing for me is the content side. It's something I've really started to put a lot of planning into. I personally am not really good at creating that kind of content. It takes a lot of work and it's really hard. So I'm kind of trying to come up with a plan to surround myself with some people that can help me with that and kind of get a program in place so that here within the next month or two, I can really start pushing that out.
Very cool. Last question for you here. What's your favorite thing in Denver to do?
In Denver, I love to golf. That's something that, obviously Jeremy talked about me being a pretty avid golfer. So I try to get out as much as I can. I usually try to get out once a week. Other than that, it's going to be getting out to the racetrack.
Car racetrack, right?
Yes, the car racetrack, the go-kart racetrack, anything with four wheels.
So let's just spend a few minutes because you race yourself, you manage pit crews, you do quite a few things.
Yeah, so I grew up.
I know nothing about race car racing, so
I grew up racing go-karts, and that was a big part of my life. And through that, I was able to run my own go-kart racing team and kind of have a program where we developed young drivers to move on to other forms of car racing and motorsports. And when I moved back here to Denver, it was something that I still wanted to be involved with, just not in a capacity that took over every waking hour of my life. So now I kind of strictly work with a few different drivers here in town, and we travel all over the country going to either go-kart races or car races, and I'm kind of their driver coach and race car engineer and kind of help on the technical side of things.
That's got to be fun to do.
It's a blast. Yeah.
So that's basically another business or side.
Yeah, it's another, kind of a side hustle, right? And so that's something you always got to have. But for me, that allows me to network with a lot of really good people, a lot of high-end stuff. And you enjoy it. And I enjoy it. And it's been great.
That's a win-win-win-win-win.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll ask agents and they'll say, how, you need to grow your sphere. So how do I do it? I'm like, what do you do for fun? What'd you do in the last 10 days that was fun? I played tennis, joined a tennis league. Play golf?
Join a golf league, yeah.
Right? Whatever it is, there's always an opportunity to meet people. You gotta grasp.
And I think it's important for people to have an outlet like that too. You got to have a way to get out and meet new people and have a way to do something a little bit outside of what you do for a job every day. And if you're able to kind of mix those together, then it's even better.
Cool.
Good stuff.
Any final thoughts that you guys want to share before we wrap things up?
I think I'm good. I think, I kind of covered everything I wanted to talk about today.
Cool. Well, since you're launching your Facebook marketing soon, give a plug for your Facebook page.
It'll be the cohousepro.com and cohousepro at Facebook.
cohousepro.com.
Yep, Colorado House Pro.
Great. I'll put that in the links too.
Awesome.
All right, Preston, thanks,
man. Chris.
Yeah, good to see you, my man.
Yeah, good to see you guys.
That was cool, man. That worked out really good.
Yeah, thanks,
bud.
Yeah, that was good.